Ceann Comhairle Guramagat, and I apologise for Deputy O'Loughlin's absence. She's at our ALDE International Conference, the party that Fianna Fáil is a member of. I know that the Taoiseach is also at his party's conference as well in Europe too, so they're happening this weekend. So Deputy O'Loughlin gives her apologies. I move, Ceann Comhairle, that on behalf of Deputy O'Loughlin and the committee, that Dáil Éireann shall consider the report of the Joint Committee on Education and Skills entitled Report on Positive Mental Health in Schools, copies of which were laid before the Dáil on the 12th of September 2017. I see Mr Alan Guyden here as well, the Clerk of the Committee. I want to thank him for his help and assistance constantly to the Committee, Ceann Comhairle. He's a tremendous asset to us. I thank Minister Byrne, I know is sitting in there for colleagues, and indeed Minister Mary Michelle O'Connor for attending this debate here. My own party spokesperson on mental health, James Byrne, is also here in the chamber. I want to thank members of the Joint Committee on Education and Skills who contributed to the production of the report. The report was agreed by the committee at its meeting on the 11th of July 2017, was launched on the 12th of September 2017. I've been nominated to move the motion by the Chairperson, Deputy O'Loughlin, on what is a comprehensive and important report on this matter, and I'm delighted to have the opportunity. The committee recognises that mental health issues are complex and that there is no one-size-fits-all solution. We are aware, however, that schools and the interactions between teachers and students play a hugely important role in promoting positive mental health amongst young people. In issues regarding mental health, early intervention is critical. The education system must equip and support children to be confident and have the ability to achieve their full potential in whatever role they may take in their lives. The mental health of children should be placed at the heart of the education system, but more needs to be done to support students and teachers both inside and outside the classroom, with greater integration and cooperation between schools and the wider community in order to effectively promote positive mental health in schools. From the evidence provided to the committee, it is clear that there is a particular need to ensure the provision of additional training and support for teachers to enable them to recognise when students need assistance and to have the time and space to provide the help needed. It also became apparent to the committee that a change in the mindset of all those in school communities throughout the state is necessary, so that the well-being of students and teachers is central to the education system. And indeed, we see that in schools throughout the country starting to happen more and more. This whole change in mindset that schools are about teaching and about imparting information, but also making sure that the well-being of the students and the well-being of the school community is at the heart of everything the school does. And from that, better results are achieved. Also, a change in society's attitude to mental health difficulties is necessary so that everybody can seek help when necessary without the fear of stigmatisation. I believe that it is much better to concentrate on protecting the mental well-being of our teachers and students rather than focus solely on mental illness, which is obviously very important, but here today we're talking about the education system and the role that it plays. Each school needs a strategy to enable them to achieve a whole school's approach to mental health. We believe the Minister for Education and Skills, together with the Minister Byrne, the Minister for Mental Health and Older People, must work together in order to promote resilience. The committee recommendations in the report include that the critical role of teachers in creating a culture of whole school approach to mental health needs to be recognised and supported. Teachers should be allocated sufficient time, training and resources to enable them to promote positive mental health among students. Teachers and students need the time and opportunity to be able to listen to one another and develop caring relationships. Teachers in schools should be provided with the resources necessary to enable each student to participate fully in schools through encouraging and developing his or her particular talents and strengths. Positive measures to counteract bullying, such as the Anti-Bullying Ambassadors project now running in a number of schools, which supports a friendly, positive and respect culture in schools, with a strong emphasis on eliminating bullying where it occurs, to be implemented. Students need to feel connected to their community. Schools are a central way of doing that. Children and young people should be provided with the opportunity to participate and engage in both the local and the school communities. There needs to be enhanced collaboration between schools and state agencies in order to support students and teachers alike. This committee recommends that sufficient time and resources is allocated to ensure the promotion and support of positive mental health throughout the school community. It is recommended that the teacher training programme be revised to incorporate a module of resilience and promoting positive mental health in schools. The committee recommends a review of the current college entry system, which places a huge emphasis on academic achievement, often resulting in additional stress on children and young people. The committee recommends that we establish an expert group to investigate the appropriateness, feasibility and best practice approach regarding the introduction of mindfulness in primary schools, particularly with a view to creating a standardised system, if possible, for all teachers. We need to investigate, very importantly, the introduction of school-based counselling and indeed the provision of nurses in schools as well, which has been recommended by the National Council for Special Education. We need to explore further training to guidance counsellors in secondary schools, which may be a very cost-effective way to provide further access to counselling in schools. It is a positive development that the Wellbeing Policy Statement and Framework for Practice, published by the Department of Education and Skills, has incorporated a number of recommendations made by the Committee on Education and Skills in its report. Key recommendations made in the report in relation to a whole school approach, the importance of listening and feeling a sense of belonging and connectedness, were incorporated into the policy statement as areas to target in school wellbeing promotion. I welcome the fact that the committee's report formed part of the policy statement. However, on behalf of the committee, I would like to put it on record that the committee was disappointed that it was not mentioned in the policy statement, considering the significant time and effort that the committee put into producing what I consider, and the committee considers, a very important report. And I would say this, just generally speaking, Minister, the committee would very much appreciate the continued interaction along the lines of which you have had, and in fairness, Minister Mitchell O'Connor have had with us in your relatively short periods in the job, particularly in areas where the committee has done work. I think would be very much appreciated. There's about 1 in 10 children and young people have mental health problems. Research has found that while people can experience mental ill health at any time throughout their life, mental disorders tend to peak during adolescence and adulthood. These issues can manifest as depression, anxiety and conduct disorder. This is often a direct response to what's happening in young people's lives. The emotional well-being of children is just as important as their physical well-being, and I know that my colleague Deputy Byrne has done tremendous work in terms of, on a statutory basis, equalising the state's response to mental health and to physical health. I want to thank him for that. Good mental health allows children and young people to develop the resilience to cope with difficult situations and to grow into well-rounded, healthy adults. The committee recognises the importance of the promotion of positive mental health in schools. It's committed to its work and continue to progress, promote and monitor the integration of the wellbeing policy statement in our schools. The committee looks forward to working more closely in the future with the Minister and the Department on this topic and on many more issues relating to the education and wellbeing of our children and young people. But I would say this, that the education system doesn't have the answer to everything, that it plays an important role, but it's only one part of it. And I think that it is important that when issues arise in society that are of general importance, that it's not simply sufficient for the state to say, we'll get the schools or the teachers to look after that. They have a role. Children spend a lot of their time in schools, but their main role is to teach and for children to learn. But they need to play their part as well, alongside other state agencies, alongside their families, and alongside our communities. Finally, on behalf of the committee, I would like to thank the witnesses who appeared before the committee to assist us, to help us in our consideration of this matter. They generously gave us the benefit of their valuable time and expertise and made a significant contribution to the report, and the committee is very grateful to them. And indeed, the report is on the committee's website. It is laid before the Houses, and those who appeared before the committee and their submissions are in that report. I commend Count Court of this report to the House.
Thank you.